What advice do you have for someone living with his non-frum family that wants to serve Hashem? That's a very, very difficult predicament to be in. And to quote David HaMelech, "V'asisa b'chochma secha." To do this correctly, you have to be not just in service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You need to have a lot of seichel. You have to really, really use your seichel and to be very sensitive and careful how you approach the various different challenges that arise. First of all, when you ask this question, to me there are two angles to answering this question. One angle is, how do I maintain my own identity as a religious Jew and maintain a level of service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And the second angle is, how do I influence my environment? How do I affect the people around me that they should appreciate that the life that I've chosen is a meaningful life and a good life and a preferred life, and bring them closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? I think these are two different questions. I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but they are two different questions. Now, again, I don't know you. I don't know who wrote this question. Your name is not here. You must be in touch with a mashpia on a regular basis. A mashpia who has wisdom, who can tell you, as they say in Yiddish, v'wayin and v'ois, what's important, what's not important, where you have to stand on principle and where you have to overlook, where you should say something, where you should keep quiet, and so forth and so on. I apologize. Which is beyond the scope of what I'm able to say just in a few minutes. My understanding is, and I've heard some contradictions about this, but my understanding is that the Rebbe believed that if a member of a family became frum, it shouldn't destroy the family. In other words, even if you talk about a husband and a wife, where one member became frum and the other wasn't frum at all, if there's a minimum cooperation when it comes to Taras HaMishpacha and possibly kashrus, the family has to be kept together. And the burden is on the person who's made the changes. You've become frum, you have an obligation to make it work. Now, this requires incredible nerves. It requires unbelievable perseverance and inner strength not to get frustrated, not to get angry, not to get upset, not to be insulted. But ideally, in principle, that's the Rebbe's approach. Now, if a person is unable to do that, if a person is in a home environment which isn't frum, and they don't have the ability to, so to speak, keep it together so that it doesn't just create fire and anger, you have to seriously consider the possibility that maybe you can't be home. But if you're going to be home, these are the two things that you have to bear in mind. You cannot burden the whole world with the religious changes that you've made. So you have the extra stress, not only of serving Hashem, but serving Hashem and keeping your nerve, not getting upset and not getting angry and not getting insulted. And in addition, there is also the obligation that you have to your family, to be Makad Shem Shamayim, to show them that your being frum makes you a better person, not an angrier person, not a more judgmental person, not a more intolerant person, and to slowly, in appropriate ways, bring Yiddishkeit to the family that you're living with. And this, I think, is fundamental to the Rebbe's philosophy and to the Rebbe's teachings. It used to be that if a person was religious, he concerned himself with himself and he, quote, protected himself from the world. The Rebbe taught us when a person is religious, the best way to protect yourself is to become a mashpia, to influence others. If family is tricky, you can't always do it. But in a limited way, and certainly over the course of long periods of time, it's possible to move people to at least warm up to what Yiddishkeit is. And as challenging and as difficult as this is, I think that the Rebbe would say, this is your obligation, this is your job, this is what you need to do, which of course it seems so insensitive, it's almost unfair. I made so many changes. I became frum. I'm trying to serve Hashem. And now you got to tell me I have to have patience. But yeah, that's the job. That's the job. Or to say what I just said in completely different words, and perhaps in a way that will appear out of context, our Yiddishkeit depends on our ability to be makar of somebody else. Period. Not, I have my service of Hashem, and then if I wish, I'm going to be makar of somebody else. When I figure out how I can include another Yid in Yiddishkeit, that's how I'm serving Hashem. This is a break from tradition. In tradition, serving Hashem is davening and learning and thinking about the spiritual self. And the Rebbe says, you want to think about the spiritual self, be makar of somebody else. I'm not saying you shouldn't think about yourself at all. But I'm saying, you're asking me. I think this is part of the obligation and the burden that you carry. And I assure you that I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation. I probably would not have the ability to keep it together, to hold on to my mind and my heart and my environment without exploding or quitting. But this is the challenge. I think this is the task. You in your own avodah can daven, can learn, can serve Hashem. But you must appreciate that part of your avodah is to be respectful of your family, to be a member, to be included with the family, of course, in ways that are allowed pi halacha, and to be makar of your family. And then you have to trust, that that they'll see your behavior and they'll be drawn to also want to serve Hashem, at least on a limited level. I'm answering the question because I don't want to not answer it, and I really feel like I'm not certain that I've told you the right thing, and if I haven't, I apologize. These are some thoughts, and again, I want to be finished the way I started. The most important thing is to be in touch with the mashpia on a regular basis, to appreciate how you should proceed going forward. And I wish you much success, much happiness, and much success in serving Hashem.